Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed. Breathing in through our noses and out through our mouth. Bringing our energy in control, our thoughts in control. At any given moment in time, we take control of our breathing. We take control of our thoughts. So right now, let's see ourselves. Let's see it in our minds so clearly that it feels real. Let's see ourselves doing the best we can on all the exercises and stretches and movements we do today together. Feel the power of that determination, your determination, your power to determine, to take control of your breathing, your mind, your body, and your life. It's the same power we can use to control our destiny, our future. See, you are so powerful, you get to go into the future. You get to see in your mind what you want to bring out into the world and make real. Right here, right now, in the present, the greatest gift we have, always. So let's go, determination. Let's go. Determine. See it in your mind. Don't choose and lose. Determine and win. See it in your mind. Yourself doing the best you can, not just here and now, but always in the gym of life. You grow your mind all the time.
In the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture, that bright infinity inside your eyes.
매일 밤 내게 날아가 꿈이란 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나 Never ending forever baby.
어둠이 내게 변했었지. 길어진 그림자 속에서
And the fact that we can't be together
Because
we come from different sides.
You are my universe and I just want to put you first. You are my universe and you make my world light up inside. My universe, my universe, my universe.
girl. 내 우주에 넌 다른 세상을 만들어주는 girl. 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금 이 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘. 우리는 너를 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가. When I'm without you I'm crazy. 자 어서 내 손을 잡아. We are made of each other baby. You are my universe and I just want to put you first.
Xavi. Now, the one-touch football. Messi. Excellent anticipation play. This from Barcelona. Messi's at the end of it. Magical. From the
Hey guys, another fear that robs us of being our true great self in each and every day and each and every moment is the fear of criticism. This is one where we have to really go within ourselves and say, what is it that we're really afraid of? Why do we care so much about what others are going to say about things that we believe in or things that we want to do? Especially if we want to achieve our dreams, if we really want to be happy, peaceful, successful, and achieve that infinite wealthy state of mind, we have to be willing to go deep and master that fear of criticism. Most of the times, people care very much for us and they're probably worried about us and want to protect us. But we have to be able to say to ourselves, we have to have such strong belief and conviction in what we're doing, in the rightness of what we're doing, and that will give us the strength to take that criticism, use it, and apply it in a successful way. Have a great day.
Sometimes we think failure is a failure when it's not. So a lot of times when we belittle ourselves, we haven't really failed. It's just a different direction we're going to be successful in. For 30 years, I've read an average of 3 hours a day. Now, I read a wide range of subjects and books and all. I read my Bible every day, and I read the paper every day. That way I know what both sides are up to. I think it's important that we do that. You can get everything in life money will buy without character. You can't get anything that money won't buy without that character. As I mentioned in the seminar, money will buy you a house but not a home, a companion but not a friend, a bed but not a good night's sleep, a good time but not peace of mind. Money won't buy those things. Those are the things that ultimately all of us want. I don't care whether you look at it in your personal life, your family life, or your career. The fact is, that's just the golden rule. Rephrase, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
Zig Ziglar was one of the world's most popular motivational speakers. Ziglar was one of 12 children raised by a widowed mother during the Great Depression. He wrote over 25 books, including See You at the Top, and inspired millions of people around the world. In this exclusive training, Ziglar shares with us how to use failures to succeed, build good relationships, and be a good parent. Special thanks to the Ziglar family for partnering with us to release this exclusive content on our YouTube channel. Enjoy.
Today, though, when you look at the stress level, it seems that the doctors are talking about stress being at all-time high levels. I mean, people are looking for answers, Zig, aren't they?
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, in my Sunday school recently, I did a 2-week series on stress reduction. And this is a place where faith comes in. because there's a Bible verse that says all things work together for good to those who love God. They works together for good who are called to serve according to His purpose. So when bad things happen, I just kind of smile and say, well, Lord, I don't like that a bit, but I know you got something better in store for me. I really don't sweat when things like that happen, Kim, and I believe that's made a huge difference in my life.
What happens, Zig? People, when you get off stage, people will come up to you, they'll just say, oh my gosh, what you've done for my life. And, how do you interpret, now, understand what I mean by this, people will say, oh my gosh, you've done so much for my life. Do you see a lot of these people later on where they've applied these principles and just absolutely jettisoned their life to a whole nother level? What do you experience?
Kim, one of the things that keeps me going is the fact that, as I was saying to my son on our way for this interview, this morning I was reading 3 significant emails from people who gave wonderful testimonials about how the philosophy has changed their life. One of the huge benefits I have is in my relationship building, I have people who teach me. I validate things psychologically, theologically, and physiologically before I verbalize them, write them, or record them. So I speak with a lot of confidence, not because of what comes from me, but because of what comes through me. And there's a huge difference. That lets me know that I'm not the one responsible. I had the help that was necessary to make those good things happen.
To be the speaker that you are, did you get some special training? I literally, Zig, never, you can talk to anyone out here, they've never seen anyone like you. Your approach, your style, you keep people laughing, you're finished laughing, and then a person is almost ready to cry because then you take them on a roller coaster, and it's all coming from you. From an audience perspective, you're just looking at this, you're mesmerized, and you're just saying, how is he's pulling all these emotions out of me?
Well, of course, we are emotional people. We don't make logical decisions. We make emotional ones. Witness the seat belts in the automobile. For years, people fussed about having to use them. Yet on an airplane, the flight attendant says, fasten your seat belt, and everybody fastens the seat belt. Now, if you use them in the automobile, the odds are at least 3 to 1 better that you're going to survive a wreck. I don't care how many seat belts you fasten on that airplane. When that sucker comes down from 30,000 feet, that seat belt is not going to do you any good. But what I have tried to do is to be myself. My nature is that of the optimist. As I tell people, I'd go after Moby Dick in a rowboat and take the tartar sauce with me. I'd take my last $2 and buy a money belt with it. But my optimistic nature has been very helpful. And I do know for a fact that everybody enjoys humor if it's non-sexist, non-racist, and crystal clean. I tell people I only use adult language like commitment, responsibility, and dedication, and an awful lot of 4-letter words like good and best and real and fair and love and things like that, So number one, the humor keeps the audience attentive. Average attention span is a little less than 9 minutes, so every 9 minutes I have them laughing. I tell folks I'm like a cross-eyed discus thrower. Don't set any records, but I do keep the crowd alert, and that's important. Then I know that in that audience there'll be a lot of people who are hurting. So I like to tell stories of encouragement so they get the impression that if this individual can survive that tragedy, then I can handle my life a little bit better. And I try to remind them that failure is an event, it's not a person, that yesterday really did end last night, that today is a brand new day, so you can make this a good day. And if you make every day a good day, then you've had a good life. And one
Messi's in support. Messi draws defenders.
What a goal.
It wouldn't be a Barcelona game without a Lionel Messi goal.
Good morning, guys. Today in our top 10 rules for success, Oprah Winfrey shares with us her 6th rule for success. And this is a huge one. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't believe in what you're doing, the activating power of our mind is nullified. So we cannot use the full power of our mind if we don't believe that we can do it. She shares with us an example growing up, and uses the example of her grandmother. Her grandmother was a maid, and her grandmother was trying to give her advice on how she can also become a maid. Oprah Winfrey can become a maid one day. And Oprah just knew from a young age, 4 to 5 years old, she knew that there was something more for her. She felt it in her gut, in her heart, and in her soul. She just knew this wasn't going to be for her. She knew she was meant for something greater. And we all are. But we got to believe it so much that nothing can take away that belief. Have a great day, everybody.
Fine little thing. I know for a fact that a lot of times an apparent failure can be an outstanding success. For example, most people laugh at the Edsel automobile that are old enough to remember it. It was ugly, it didn't sell many, it was a joke. And yet it turned out to be the most profitable car that the Ford Motor Company ever built. Because out of the technology they used on the Edsel came the Mustang. Out of that technology came the Taurus. So I try to encourage people by telling them, don't miss the good in a bad experience. Look for it. And that gets them to thinking. And if we can get people to thinking, then that makes a difference in their lives. One last little thing. I discovered quite by accident doing a seminar where the stage was real high and the audience was large and spread way out. I just instinctively had a feeling that if I got down on my knee, the audience was feeling that I was trying to get closer to them.
Yes, yes.
When I set the auditorium myself, I like to have them right close to the stage. I like to almost get in their laps when I talk. One of the things I enjoy most is shaking hands and having that intimate contact for a moment or two with an individual.
Do you see a difference in people in their 40s versus people in their 20s and how they receive the message?
Yes, unfortunately I do. When you're 20, you're going to live forever. You've got all of the answers. It's okay for me to do a little experimenting because, I'm bulletproof. Nothing's going to happen to me. And a lot of that can be traced to two things. Number one, parents have tried so hard to be buddies with their children that they're not becoming parents to them. They forget that the child, the youngster coming on, does not have mature judgment. And when they really love that child, they will say no if it is not in the child's long-range best interest. That's number one. And then number two, the media has gotten so raunchy. The things that are on television now and you hear on the radio are just absolutely deplorable. And one of the things I talked about in my presentation was people say, character doesn't count.
Right.
They've never asked a mother whose husband abandoned her and ran off with another woman and left her with the 3 children.
Right.
Nor have they talked to the father whose wife ran off with his best friend.
Right.
Does character count? And as I asked the audience today, I said, how many of you would hire an accountant, a CPA, or a treasurer who admitted that he or she was only relatively honest?
Right. That's right. Relatively honest.
That's right. There's some things right, some things are wrong. They're not relative. When I come back from an out-of-town trip, my wife not one time has ever asked me if I'd been relatively faithful.
You're relatively faithful.
I don't expect her to ever to ask that question either.
That is so tough. I don't know what the numbers are, Zig. Is it 50% of marriages now ending in divorce? I mean, seems to be the ongoing number. Is that a fair thing to say?
That certainly is astronomical. There's no question about that. And one of the reasons is that Hollywood has presented a picture that is so out of touch with reality. In marriage, there's problems that arise. So if you've made the commitment before the marriage, people say, well, I fell out of love. Well, you can fall back in love by repeating the process you used when you fell in love. And like I tell folks, you buy a house, you got a 20-year mortgage on it, but after 5 years, you don't love it anymore. So you don't tell the mortgage company, look, I don't love this house anymore, so I'm not going to pay for it anymore. See, that's insanity. When we make commitment, accept responsibility, particularly when children are involved. Now, I'm not saying that a wife should stick around if her husband beats her. That's not what I'm saying, and certainly not if he abuses the children. But I'm saying that commitment and responsibility will solve a lot of problems in that marriage if they'll just keep on courting. I'm more in love with my wife, as I mentioned in my presentation today, after 54 years, by far than I was when we first got started. I know in my eyes she's more beautiful today than she was when we married. And that to me is so exciting. I cannot see enough of my wife. I just enjoy being with her. She's fun. But we court each other every day. Every day we court each other.
I've been with my wife going on 23 years. And, when I heard you say that the first time, I remember hearing you in a presentation, the word was, I love that redhead.
Yeah.
There's certain phrases and things, Zig, that you say that I know for me, I have never forgotten, and I know a lot of other people have their phrases that they never forget. But that's one that most people will be able to tell you without even knowing your wife, would say, he loves that redhead.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say that I've experienced that same feeling of what's happened over time with commitment, of how I see my wife as the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And there is something very magical with commitment. And so many people will never have that chance. Well, they'll never really have that moment to experience what that was to hang in there and work on the relationship.
Tim, I can't begin to tell you the number of times each one of my children have said to me, Dad, I am so glad you love Mom like you do and that she loves you. Never will I forget a conversation I had with my son when he was a teenager. I said, son, if anybody were to ask you what you liked best about your dad, what would you say? Without hesitation, he'd say, Dad, the thing I like best is the fact that he loves my mom. Son, why would you say that? He said, well, Dad, I know that since you love her, you're going to treat her right. And as long as you treat her right, she's going to be with you because she sure does love you. And I'll never have to make a choice between living with you or living with Mom. Well, Kim, I had no way of knowing it, but that very day, one of his best friends had to make that choice.
Hey there, it's Mark Tim with the Ziglar family, and I sure hope you're enjoying the video from my mentor, the legendary Zig Ziglar. Because you're part of Evan's audience, we want to give you a special bonus. It's a cool little book called The Little Book of Big Quotes, packed with awesome content. This book is free just for you. Check out the description below, and it's yours. Alrighty, let's get you back to Zig.
Zig, I want to go back to Hollywood for a second. My goodness, has it changed? I mean, what's going on? I mean, I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. Zig, I can't hardly stand television. I can't let them listen to regular radio stations because I can't, I'll hear a song with some rap or not, whatever. It doesn't have to be, I don't mean to indict rap music. My point of the matter is the lyrical content, everything is sexual innuendo. I mean, what am I supposed to do? In fact, I was on a trip in Las Vegas recently. And it just stood out to me that there was a big billboard with, the sexy girls on the board. And I'm thinking if I was a parent, I'm driving down the main drag, and, you see it here in Dallas. I guess where I'm going with this is we need to pay attention to these images, both visually, audibly. Are parents not getting that? I mean, what's your read on that, the bombardment of information going into our kids and into adults?
I think that what I touched on earlier is that the child needs a parent, not a buddy. And if they don't exercise their authority, they let the kids out talking about themselves when everybody else is doing it. Short story, And my oldest daughter was a junior in high school. She came running in the house one day from school. She'd gotten a ride with some of her buddies, and she said, "Daddy, can I go to such and such a place with my friends?" I knew who those friends were because we were close. And I said, "Absolutely not." And she said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Doll, it's the wrong place with the wrong group. Well, everybody else is going. Now, Doll, you know that's not going to have any bearing on your daddy." She said, "Well, why can't he go?" I said, "Doll, let me tell you something. Those kids out there are your friends today. They might not be speaking to you tomorrow. I'm your daddy, and there's nothing on this earth that you could ever do that would cause me not to love you. You will always be in my heart, and I love you too much to permit you to go to a place where at least your reputation would be in danger, perhaps even your safety." I said, "Doll, it's the wrong place." And she stood there, and her little lips started to quiver, and then all of a sudden, she almost leaped forward and said, "Thank you, Daddy. I didn't want to go anyhow." Now, Kim, I have no idea what she told the kids out in the car.
Wow. Yeah,
But a lot of times these kids have been bowing to the pressure of the peer group, and they use those things. She didn't want to go. She was thrilled that I, as her father, said, "No, you can't go there. It's not in your best interest." That's what parents need to do, because you've got to combat what the media says. As I mentioned in my presentation, we listened to the wrong people. There was this TV show, and this Hollywood starlet was being interviewed, you know, and they asked her the question, "How do you hold on to a man?" Well, here's a gal, been married so many times, she had rice marks on her face. She doesn't have a clue, not a clue as to how to hold on to a man. You need to look at the stable families, the stable marriages. You learn from success. You see, the reality is it's not just how you live, but it's how you finish that's going to make the difference. That's what people are really interested in. But
can this be real? It's like I'm living a dream, but it's how everyone feels. We all unite with one feel. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our. This is the time of our. Ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. I love this moment right now. No one can take it away. So let it happen and how. It's why I cherish each day. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite.
Here we go.
Ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah,
come up against, well, the Predators, and they've given it away. It's Messi.
Morning, guys. I want to share an example with you from Les Brown again today in his life. I was listening to his speech at the Georgia Dome this morning, and he gives an example of how we can fight this fear of criticism. And his example is when he finally made it. He finally ended up on television, achieved his dream, and Mr. Washington, an old high school teacher, called him up and said to him, "It was you, wasn't it? You were the one." And Les Brown, when he realized that, he was so fulfilled, of course, and so happy. But one of the funniest things, and I try to remember this when we're attacked or we're criticized or we might think that people are crazy, Mr. Washington said to him, "But you were so crazy," in high school when Les Brown was young. And Les just says to him, or says to himself, "Yeah, but I'm so rich now." And I thought, wow, that's amazing. You know, that's the attitude. It doesn't matter what people think, how crazy we are. We got to find our happiness. Have a great day, everybody.
But a young person doesn't have the foresight. That's why mature adults need to guide them, say no at the appropriate time, and give them a reason when they get old enough to understand. Why no is the proper answer.
What would you say? You jump in the car with your nephew or something, maybe he's 20-some years of age, and you say to him, you know, what kind of music are you listening to? Just out of curiosity. He says, I'm really into this kind of music, but it's on a tape. A lot of profanity. He was 20-some years of age. A lot of profanity, a lot of negative stuff. But on the outside, sharp young man. He's got a good job. Because this recently happened to me. And I don't know if I handled this right or not, but I asked him, I said, you know what? I said, you are much too sharp, you know, to be listening to junk like that. And I said to him, I said, you know, looking at you and how great you are and how special you are, you deserve better than that. But I didn't, you know, I was just kind of, I really wanted to say, are you nuts? What are you, you know, because, what's your thought about that, Zig? Because kids, you know, parents, teenagers in their 20s, you're faced with that.
Yes, you really are. Number one, parents should restrict. I think the most tragic mistake we make is to let a child have a computer or a TV set in their private room where they can be exposed to that. In 1702, Andrew Fletcher, a great Scottish patriot, made this statement, and I'm going to paraphrase him a little bit. He said, "You write the laws, let me write the music, and I will rule your country." And the music in 1702 was quite different from what it is today. See, repetition is the mother of learning. That makes it the father of action. And when you repeatedly hear these things, then you know what's going to happen. See, you're where you are and what you are because of what's going on in your mind. The mind is the gateway to the heart. And when you put that kind of garbage in the heart, trouble is on its way. The profane language that's used in everyday life, a lot of people don't realize it. One of my men that I talk with, Rabbi Daniel Lappin, one of my counselors, one of the men I asked questions about in the Old Testament, pointed out to me there's a verse in the Bible that said, "You shall not curse a deaf person." Why not? They can't hear. Because of the damage it does to the individual. Dr. Les Carter, one of the men also, a psychologist I talked with, is involved in a lot of domestic violence. And he said, "Zig, I have never dealt in a case of domestic violence, physical violence, which was not preceded by verbal violence. You said this, I have said this, everybody said it. Don't get me started to talking about that, because the more I talk about it, the madder I get." Well, that person with a short fuse then acts it out, what they've just been verbalizing. We eliminate, I'm convinced of this, if we could eliminate the verbal violence on the radio, on television, on those cassettes, we would reduce physical violence dramatically. Dramatically.
What is it then? You see some of the Hollywood producers on talk shows, and they really, poo-hoo the idea that, come on, this movie isn't doing it. Come on, it isn't this. Of course, we've got the Columbine shootings and other shootings. The Columbine was the shocker. Yeah. Now we've had all the rest of them are that residual effect where well, there was another shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that we're not getting as a society, Zig? I mean, I'm getting it. I hear you loud and clear. Yeah. But there seems to be this that the movie industry, I guess it has to be because of economics, that it's such a strong economic agenda that we'll just keep flushing this stuff down on society.
Well, every destructive habit, whether it's obesity, alcoholism, drug usage, profanity, unfaithfulness, psychologist Dorothy Hicks says that the rapist in many cases started out as the peeping Tom. Yes. It gradually escalated. In my own life, for 24 years, I weighed well over 200 pounds. Now, I didn't gain all of that weight one weekend or 1 month. Over a period of time, I gradually ate a little too much, just a little here and a little there and a little here. Profanity is the same way. As a youngster, I remember when the movie Gone with the Wind came on, and a lot of folks said, "Oh, did you hear what Clark Gable said there at the end?" And everybody said, "Oh, don't be silly. What harm can that do?" A little later, they added another word, then another, and another, and another. And now the most filthy, vulgar language is being seen on television and heard on radio. Magazines all over the place glamorize this sort of thing. And the impact it has on our character, on our lives, is absolutely incredible.
Just creeps right in.
That's absolutely
and you
right.
don't even realize it, and it's on you as a parent. I hear so much, and can you help me see a little clearly on this? Peer pressure with these teenagers, I hear, is just unbelievable. I mean, I talk to the PTA president, and they say, what if you had to name one thing that's the number one thing? She says, "Oh my God, it's the peer pressure. If my daughter belongs to one group, but she wants to be friends with another group, she's ostracized from one, like who, all right." And then, so it's kind of a double question, Zig. I'd like for you maybe to give me a little bit of insight on what you would tell kids with peer pressure. Now, I see the same pressure in corporate America. I see the same kind of thing with someone leaving and going to lunch, maybe with are you going with the right group, the wrong group? When you look at that, when you look at what's going on in schools and peer pressure, what's going on in corporate culture with political peer pressure, what's your thought about that, Zig?
Well, number one, according to a study done in Missouri, 2/3 of a child's working vocabulary is acquired by age 3. Psychiatrist Ross Campbell says that 80% of a child's character is formed by age 5 and 90% of the personality by age 7. Now, when that youngster is raised on the wrong words and the wrong views and so forth, and so many parents use the television as the babysitter, and the parents a lot of times will say, "Well, I'm watching it with them, so I guess it's all right." That's pure baloney. I travel a great deal. 9 times out of 10, when I'm in a hotel room, the television set never comes on. There is so little there that would be of interest to me, which would give me any added value to my life. I aim everything at learning because I love to teach, and I've got to learn before I can teach. Now, this is my profession. I don't encourage others to take it to this extent, but for 30 years, I've read an average of 3 hours a day. Now, I read a wide range of subjects and books and all. I read my Bible every day, and I read the paper every day, and that way I know what both sides are up to. And I think it's important that we do that. So, to begin with, early on we need to do the training. Number 2, the parent needs to understand that according to all of the research, though team pressure or peer pressure is significant, the child much prefers to follow their role model, the example of the parent. The parent has the first shot, the best shot, the most important shot, the most loved shot, because if that parent, and as I mentioned in my presentation today, if they will start that child's day kindly and gently, as they did when the child was an infant, waking them up lovingly, talking to them with affection, smothering them, if they will awaken them that way all of their life, tell them what a great day it's going to be, how you can't wait until they get home so they can share with you what you learned that day. And then at night, if bedtime, as I mentioned, is 9 o'clock, at 8 o'clock you say, okay, kids, now, you got to put the cat out and bring the bicycle in, call Charlie about the assignment, get both drinks of water, take all 3 trips to the bathroom. Now's the time to do it. We're going to bed at that point. At 9 o'clock, you turn the TV off if you've been watching TV. Greatest insult to a child is to try to put them to bed during a commercial. Now, we raised 4, so we understand that the greatest con artists on earth are those between ages 6 and 15. Yeah, right. They're going to try to keep you there answering silly questions. Right. Let them, because they will soon grow weary of that. Then you can bond with that child more than you've been able to do all day long. They'll open their hearts to you. You can guide them properly, answer their questions, but most importantly, even above that, you can demonstrate to them, you are my #1 project. I love you unconditionally. This time is yours. Start the day right, end the day right. The time in between will be infinitely better.
Zig, I want you to imagine you've got a microphone in front of you, and there are 10 million 13 to 16, 18-year-old youth listening. The radio producer says, Mr. Ziglar, we only have time for you to give one statement to these kids. Well, only one thing out of your 40 years you've been doing this personal development, helping educate, coaching people worldwide. If there's only one thing that you want them to get that will have the most impact on them, Mr. Ziglar, you got 10 million listening, what would you say to them?
I'd say, first of all, you've just asked the impossible question. We're not one-dimensional people, and one sound bite is not really going to give that much depth. If I had to choose a word, the word would be character, because out of it comes consistency. Dr. Fukuyama wrote a book called Trust, where he had studied several cultures over several generations, and he said you can measure the progress based on the level of trust that existed within those cultures. And trust only comes from a character base. So I would start with that, but there's so many other things, as I talked about in the seminar, that are involved. Not only that, but you got to be a smart worker. You got to learn how to get along with people. Nearly 100% of all counseling is because of relationship difficulties. Husband, wife, parent, child, teacher, student, employer, employee. So people want to be respected, and they want to be appreciated. And when we understand that, like with my wife and me, we've had disagreements like all married couples, but we've never said to each other, well, that was a stupid thing you did, or that was dumb. What an idiotic move. We've never said things like that. We never felt those things. And so that character base produces all of these things. And so I would say to that person, be dependable, be consistent, build on trust, because that's the way you develop long-term relationships. My executive assistant's been with me 24 years. There's trust. My attorney, before he retired, had been with us 27 years. Trust was developed. I knew that here was somebody that was reliable. Our CPA firm, same story. We developed that trust, and I don't have to be always wondering if they did this right or that right. Those things are so incredibly important. When I'm on the road, my wife doesn't have a concern about what I'm doing. I can call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I know that she's going to answer that telephone. That trust is so important. And we
And here we go. Back to controlling our breathing. Back to controlling our minds. Feel the power of your heart beating faster right now. Your heart. That's the power of determination. Your heart always knows what's best. Your heart can feel and sense things that your mind cannot. But they both need each other equally. When our minds, hearts, bodies unite, that energy, our power to determine, that's determination, who we really are. Growing our minds, our bodies, and our energy in the gym of life. Everywhere we go, everywhere we are. You have the greatest gift. You have your presence. With that presence, right here, right now, you can take it, keep using it wherever you go. To get out of your mind, sometimes your mind is playing tricks, lying to you, telling you to be afraid, telling you to give in to fear, to anxiety, to stress, to become sad and depressed. No, that's a lie. We are determination. We're made of truth, like everyone in this universe. Truth principles. And those truth principles, that stuff you're made of, I'm made of, that determination, that never ends. That always chooses courage. Sorry, that always determines courage, determines faith, determines love, positivity, being kind, generous, being grateful. That's what we were all born to do, no matter what. With that, we can overcome anything our mind tries to do to us. Don't forget, you are the boss of your mind, and your mind is the boss of your body. And so if you control your mind, you will control your body. More importantly, your feelings. Because your feelings are connected to your thoughts. And you control your thoughts. So if you can control your thoughts, your mind, you can determine to be your true, happy, infinitely intelligent self all the time, not just now.